Hey there, I appreciate you going ahead and watching this video to take notes along with it, so you'll be ready to solve for sides and angles using the isosceles triangle theorem. Hopefully you've already answered the bell work questions. If you haven't, make sure you do it by the end of the day. Bell work closes at 11:59 p.m. Alrighty, so let's find some missing angles on this side. What we talked about yesterday in class was that all three angles of a triangle add up to 360. But what we've got here is an isosceles triangle. We talked about it in the video that I sent you. These two sides are called legs, and here is the base. And what we know is that the two angles that touch the base are always congruent to each other. So they gave us the two legs are congruent. I can make the bases congruent. So I know x has to equal 65. Boom. So go ahead and remember that. Two congruent sides, two congruent angles. Now on this one, notice what they gave us is an equilateral triangle. If you have three congruent sides, that means you have 1, 2, 3 congruent angles. So if green equals green, we know x has to equal 60. Let's find the missing measure here. Okay, so immediately what I notice is I have these two sides are congruent. This is an isosceles triangle. Those are the legs. Here's the base. The two angles that touch the base are the same, and the angle at the top, the vertex, is different. So what we know is green, green, and purple have to add up to equal 180 degrees because all three angles in a triangle add up to 180. So, and we also know, shouldn't say this as well. Boom, let's hit this up. That green and green are equal to each other. The two base angles are also congruent. That's important to know because if one green is x, guess what? Both greens are x, and the purple is 74. So I'm going to take this equation and I am going to solve it for x. X plus x is 2x plus 74 equals 180. Subtract 74 from both sides. I'm going to get 2x equals 106. X equals 53. And we wanted to find the missing measure, so we are done. This is going to be very similar to the one we just did, except now we're doing a little algebra. Two congruent sides. Those are the legs. There's the base. The two angles that touch the base have to be equal to each other. The two angles that touch the base have to be equal. Well, we also know all three angles in a triangle add up to 180. So we've got to figure out which of these equations we're going to use to solve for our missing values. Well, we're given one green. One of the greens is 3x minus 12. That means both greens are 3x minus 12, and we're also given the purple angle. So we know 3x minus 12 plus another 3x minus 12 plus 50 equals 180. I'm going to combine my like terms. 6x minus 24 plus 50, that equals 180. On the left side, let's combine our like terms. 6x plus 26 equals 180. I am going to subtract 26 from both sides. And we get 6x equals, let's see, 160 minus 6 more, 150. 54. Divide both sides by 6. X equals, oh boy, hold on, let me hit pause and figure out what that. Alright, so that gives us 25.7 when I round it to the nearest tenth, like my instruction says. Oh, 29, I'm sorry, 6/7. I was off on my rounding, so that's why we always double check the instructions and we make sure that we have X and we are good to go. So we are told angle 2 is X plus 71. Let's find the value of X and round it to the nearest hundredth, 2 decimal places. Oh, come on, man. There we go. So again, we'll notice all 3 sides had a tick, so all 3 sides are the same. That means all 3 angles are the same. So we know green equals green, and excuse me. We know green equals green, and we know if we take all 3 greens and add them together, they add up to 180. Well, when we're looking at this one, I'm going to use this equation because we know one of the greens is 60 and the other green is X plus 71, so they have to be the same. So I'm going to go ahead and solve that for X. X plus 71 equals 60. I'm going to subtract 71 from both sides, and we get X to equal negative 11. Boom. Very similar idea. Let's hit this one up real quick. So I've got 2 legs that they are the same. Here's the base. It's different. The 2 angles that touch the base are going to be equal to each other. And I'm going to take those 2 base angles and I'm going to add it to the vertex, and that will equal 180 degrees. Make sure you're putting the colors for your equations in your notes. Alright, so we are told one of the green angles is 75. That means both green angles are 75. And we are told the purple angle is X plus 42. Now we can go ahead and solve this. So 75 plus 75 is 150 plus 90 plus 42 gives me 192 plus X, that equals 180. We're going to subtract 192 from both sides. That gives us X equals negative 12. And then we look up, we wanted X, we wanted it rounded to the nearest hundredth. We're good. Sometimes I'm going to give you this. Notice this time, instead of giving you sides, what I said is these 2 angles are the same. The base angles, that means this side is the base, and these 2 sides have to be the same. So we know yellow is going to equal yellow. So one of the yellows is X, the other yellow is 10. I have solved for X. I am good to go. Alrighty, so again on this one, notice we've got angles. These 2 angles are congruent. 2 congruent angles. That means the side between them is the base, and the other 2 sides have to be legs. So yellow and yellow have to be equal to each other. If I give you 2 congruent angles, we know the triangle has 2 congruent sides. If I have 2 congruent sides, we have 2 congruent angles. Those are the rules. Now let's go ahead and solve this for X. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So we will have 2x, that's pushed blue, but it wrote in red. 2x equals 12. Divide both sides by 2. And we will have x equals 6. Boom. Alrighty, so remember there's two ways to tell if a triangle is isosceles. An isosceles triangle has two congruent sides, and an isosceles triangle has two congruent angles. Alright, if you have any questions, I'm going to be back in school in the Media Center at 3:30. Come and see me. I wish you well, Patriots, and I'll see you when I see you.